In 9 AD, Rome sent its finest legions into Germany's forests. Almost none of them came back. General Publius Quinctilius Varus trusted a Germanic ally named Arminius, a man raised in Rome, trained as a Roman officer, and secretly loyal to his own people the entire time. Arminius led Varus's 3 legions, roughly 20,000 men, on a route straight through dense forest terrain, claiming it was the fastest path home. It was actually the perfect ambush ground his own tribesmen had been waiting in for days. Trapped in narrow forest paths, unable to form their usual battle lines, the legions were cut down over 3 brutal days of fighting, in mud and rain. Varus, facing total defeat, took his own life rather than be captured. Roman losses were catastrophic. Historians estimate as much as 15,000, 20,000 dead. When Emperor Augustus received the news, accounts say he wandered his palace crying out, "Varus, give me back my legions." Rome never fully reconquered the territory beyond the Rhine after this defeat. Teutoburg Forest permanently drew the border of the Roman Empire, proof that even Rome's mightiest legions could be broken by the right trap. One ambush redrew the map of an empire. Follow along as we keep uncovering history's most devastating defeats.
The pirates who kidnapped Julius Caesar thought they'd hit the jackpot. Instead, they accidentally kidnapped the worst possible person in the Roman world. The year was 75 BC, and Julius Caesar wasn't yet the legendary ruler we know today. He was just a young Roman noble sailing across the Mediterranean when pirates attacked his ship and took him captive. The pirates demanded 20 talents of silver for his release. Caesar's response? He laughed. He told them they clearly had no idea who they had captured and insisted they ask for 50 talents instead. While his friends gathered the ransom, Caesar lived with the pirates for nearly 40 days. But he didn't act like their prisoner. He ordered them to be quiet when he wanted to sleep. He joined in their games. He read them poems and speeches, and if they didn't applaud loudly enough, he'd call them uncultured barbarians. Most bizarre of all, he kept joking that once he was free, he'd come back, hunt them down, and have them crucified. The pirates thought it was hilarious. They laughed every single time. Then the ransom arrived. The pirates released Caesar, who immediately raised a fleet of ships, chased them across the Mediterranean, captured every last one of them, and fulfilled his promise. He had them crucified, just as he'd warned them. Long before he ruled Rome, Julius Caesar had already shown the fearless confidence and ruthless determination that would make him one of history's most famous leaders. Follow for more unbelievable stories from history that sound too crazy to be true.
One man crossed one small river and accidentally changed the course of world history forever. In 49 BC, Julius Caesar stood on the banks of a shallow river in northern Italy called the Rubicon. Today, it doesn't look like much, but crossing it with an army was one of the greatest crimes a Roman general could commit. Roman law was simple. Generals had to dismiss their armies before entering Italy. Caesar refused. The Senate had ordered him to give up his command, fearing he had become too powerful. Caesar had 2 choices: obey the Senate or march on Rome. He chose war. As he crossed the river, ancient writers say he declared, "The die is cast." Within weeks, panic spread through Rome. The Senate fled. Caesar entered the city without a major battle. What followed was years of brutal civil war. When the fighting finally ended, Caesar stood alone as Rome's undisputed ruler. Historians still debate whether he saved Rome from corruption or destroyed the Republic forever. Either way, it all began with one decision: to cross a river. Follow for more stories where one decision changed history forever.
Imagine being warned 3 separate times that you were about to be murdered, and ignoring every single one. That's exactly what happened to Julius Caesar. It was March 15th, 44 BC, better known as the Ides of March. For weeks, rumors had spread through Rome that powerful senators were plotting against Caesar. Then came the first warning. A soothsayer approached him in public and said just 5 chilling words: "Beware the Ides of March." Caesar laughed it off. The night before the Senate meeting, his wife Calpurnia woke in terror after dreaming that Caesar had been murdered. She begged him not to go. At first, he agreed to stay home, but then one of the conspirators convinced him that refusing to appear would make him look weak. As Caesar walked toward the Senate, a man pushed through the crowd and handed him a letter. Inside was the entire assassination plot, including the names of the men waiting to kill him. Caesar tucked it away, planning to read it later. He never got the chance. Inside the Senate, more than 60 conspirators surrounded him. One man grabbed his toga as a signal. Then the knives came out. Caesar was stabbed 23 times, and the most powerful man in Rome collapsed at the foot of Pompey's statue. The conspirators believed they had saved the Roman Republic. Instead, they triggered a civil war that destroyed it forever. History is filled with unbelievable stories just like this. Follow for more moments that changed the world forever.
After the purges, 3 men ruled Rome together. Only one of them would survive to rule it alone. Octavian was 19 when Caesar was murdered, Caesar's adopted heir, but a nobody to Rome's veteran generals. Mark Antony had the army. Lepidus had the loyalty of Rome's legions in the west. Octavian had a name, and nothing else. So Octavian played the long game. He let Antony take the credit for defeating Caesar's assassins at Philippi. He let Lepidus believe he was still an equal partner. And quietly, piece by piece, Octavian took control of Rome's western provinces, its loyalty and its legions, while everyone underestimated the teenager. Lepidus was the first to fall, stripped of power, exiled, forgotten. Then Antony made his fatal mistake. He fell for Cleopatra, Egypt's queen, and started ruling the East like his own kingdom. Rome saw a Roman general going native, abandoning the Republic for a foreign throne. Octavian didn't attack Antony directly. He attacked Cleopatra, framing the war as Rome defending itself from a foreign queen. At the Battle of Actium, Octavian's fleet crushed them both. Antony and Cleopatra fled to Egypt, and both took their own lives, rather than be paraded through Rome in chains. The quiet teenager nobody respected was now the only man left standing. The Senate gave him a new name, Augustus. The republic that Brutus and Cassius killed Caesar to save was gone for good. In its place, an empire, and its first emperor. Caesar's murder was supposed to end one man's power. Instead, it built an empire under his heir. Follow along as we keep uncovering the moments history turned on a single decision. Killing Caesar was supposed to save the republic. What happened next destroyed it. 2 years after the assassination, 3 men carved up Rome between them. Octavian, Caesar's teenage heir, Mark Antony, his most loyal general, and Lepidus, a powerful ally with an army. Together, they called themselves the Second Triumvirate. Their first order of business wasn't hunting down Brutus and Cassius. It was making a list, a death list. Anyone who might oppose them, senators, rivals, the simply wealthy, got a name on that list, and a price on their head. These weren't just political enemies. Husbands turned in wives, sons turned in fathers for reward money. One senator was said to be killed by his own slave. Cicero, Rome's greatest orator, a man who'd spent his life defending the Republic, was hunted down and executed. His hands and tongue were nailed to the Senate Speaker's platform. A warning: speak against us, and this is what happens. Historians estimate somewhere between 300 senators and 2,000 wealthy Romans were killed in these purges, not in the heat of battle, but by name, on a list, in cold blood. Rome hadn't just lost Caesar, it had lost any illusion that the Republic could be saved. And the men who did this, they weren't done. Within a decade, these 3 allies would turn on each other too. Lepidus stripped of power, Antony dead by his own hand, and Octavian, the quiet teenager nobody took seriously, would stand alone as Rome's first emperor, Augustus. This is how a republic dies, not with one murder, but with a list.
2 of Rome's greatest generals faced off in one battle. Only one would survive as a free man. By 48 BC, Caesar's civil war against Pompey had reached its breaking point. Pompey commanded a larger, well-supplied army, over 40,000 men. Caesar had barely half that number, exhausted and low on food, deep in Greek territory. Pompey's advisors urged patience. Starve Caesar out. Avoid a direct fight he might actually win through sheer skill. But pressured by senators eager for a quick, glorious victory, Pompey broke his own strategy and offered battle at Pharsalus. Caesar predicted exactly how Pompey's superior cavalry would try to flank him. He hid a fourth line of hand-picked infantry behind his forces, specifically ordered to aim their javelins at the faces of Pompey's cavalry, men from wealthy families, terrified of being scarred. The tactic worked. Pompey's cavalry broke and fled in panic, exposing his entire flank. Caesar's outnumbered army tore through the exposed lines. Pompey himself watched his massive army collapse in a single afternoon, then fled the battlefield entirely. Pompey ran all the way to Egypt seeking refuge. Instead, he was assassinated the moment he stepped ashore, killed by men hoping to win Caesar's favor. The Republic's civil war had just claimed its first casualty of many. One battle ended a rivalry that had ruled Rome for years. Follow along as we keep uncovering the fights that rewrote history.
Imagine being trapped between two enemy armies and deciding the best strategy was to fight them both at the same time. In 52 BC, Julius Caesar faced what should have been the end of his military career. The Gallic leader Vercingetorix had retreated into the fortified city of Alesia with nearly 80,000 warriors. Caesar surrounded the city, hoping to starve them into surrender. But then the impossible happened. A massive Gallic relief army, possibly more than 200,000 strong, according to ancient sources, marched in to rescue the city. Suddenly, Caesar wasn't besieging an enemy anymore. He was trapped between two. Most generals would have retreated. Caesar did the opposite. He ordered his men to build another wall. Now the Romans had one line of fortifications facing into the city to keep the defenders trapped, and a second line facing outward to stop the relief army from breaking through. For days, the Romans fought attacks from both directions. At one point, the defenses nearly collapsed. Caesar personally rode into the fighting, leading his reserves where the battle was at its worst. That final charge broke the Gallic assault. The relief army fled, the city surrendered, and with one incredible victory, Caesar conquered Gaul, an area that now includes much of modern-day France, and became the most celebrated general in Rome. Follow for more battles that completely changed the course of history.
Spartacus wasn't supposed to be a threat. He was a slave. Rome learned otherwise. In 73 BC, Spartacus and roughly 70 fellow gladiators broke out of a training school in Capua using kitchen knives and stolen weapons. Rome saw it as a minor prison break. It wasn't. Escaped slaves from across the countryside flocked to join him. Within months, his ragtag band of gladiators and runaway slaves had swelled into an army of tens of thousands, enough to defeat multiple Roman forces sent to crush them. Rome sent legion after legion, and Spartacus beat them again and again, outmaneuvering commanders who refused to believe a slave revolt could outfight trained soldiers. For nearly 2 years, Rome could not put this rebellion down. Eventually, the wealthy general Crassus assembled overwhelming force and cornered Spartacus's army in southern Italy. Spartacus died in the final battle, his body reportedly never identified among the dead. Crassus had 6,000 captured survivors crucified along the Appian Way, the road into Rome, a deliberate, mile-after-mile warning to any slave who dreamed of following Spartacus's example. A gladiator nearly broke Rome's army before he broke it all. Follow along as we keep uncovering history's boldest rebellions.
Caligula started as the emperor Rome had been waiting for. He ended as its worst nightmare. When Caligula took the throne in 37 AD at just 24 years old, Rome celebrated. He was the son of a beloved general, young, charismatic, a fresh start after the paranoid final years of Emperor Tiberius. Then, months into his reign, Caligula fell severely ill. He survived, but those close to him described a changed man afterward, erratic, cruel, and increasingly convinced of his own divinity. Accounts describe Caligula forcing senators to grovel and kiss his feet, executing rivals on a whim and reportedly declaring himself a living god demanding worship. Rome's elite lived in constant fear of being the next name on his list. After less than 4 years of increasingly erratic rule, a group of his own Praetorian Guard, the men sworn to protect him, decided the empire couldn't survive him any longer. Caligula was cut down by his own guards in a palace corridor in 41 AD. His own protectors had become his executioners, a brutal reminder that in Rome, absolute power made you a target, not untouchable. The men sworn to protect him ended him instead. Follow along as we keep uncovering history's most shocking downfalls.